Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Lots to talk about from the past weekend, including the Tote Gold Cup, which came to a thrilling and wonderful conclusion at Shelbourne Park. As always, I'm joined by the Exile Dub, and we have a new member of the team. Sarah Kinsella of GRI will be joining us for many of the weeks going forward. We are going to call her the Cheshire Cat from now on because she's always smiling. Sarah, good to see you. A great weekend of sport. You were at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night and a tremendous finish to the Gold Cup.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah, it was a brilliant night, wasn't it? The place was buzzing despite the rugby and the GAA and stuff that was on. Good crowds gathered to Shelbourne Park and a tremendous winner. We actually FaceTimed John Boyle after the win. Dolores had her phone out and we were chatting to him and he was very emotional. He actually said he was like, couldn't believe it. And he puts a lot of money into the sport, doesn't he? So it's nice to see him win something big. She was a
Surely
brilliant
is.
winner.
He's a man that has, as you say, put a lot of money into the sport. Generally, with the dogs, I suppose the fact that it was one of the ladies does mean a little bit more to him. But Tommy, from a greyhound racing point of view, if this is what we have to look forward to for the remainder of the year at Shelbourne Park, we have a lot to savor in the coming months. This was a wonderful way to end the first real big showpiece event of the year.
Yeah, it was. It was great. It was a great final, actually. Great. It was great because it wasn't an out and gone kind of job. She had to work really hard for it. Very reminiscent of the quarter final, I thought, where she had to kind of step around the greyhound and show bravery and it was just quality to it. Thought a few of them actually in the race ran very well. Even like Neon Knight is back in fourth place and actually ran better than that might suggest, even us beating whatever, probably 4.5, 5 lengths or whatever. Yeah, it's a cracking contest. It has been good. You've kind of talked it up a lot over the last number of weeks of how good has been in terms of depth. Relative to the last number of years. So I think the final played out nicely.
Yeah, Sarah, this was a final where yes, the only dog that probably never got a chance to get involved was Another Holiday. You know, Ballymacfin looked like he'd lost his chance into the opening corner, but racing happened and he found himself a close third into the third bend and he's on their heels. But other than that, like a lot of other news is right bang in contention going into the corner. Neon Knight is marginally in front, actually going into the corner. Deadly Style is only beaten the neck. Ballymacfin comes with a charge down to the third bend. It was one of those races where no matter what dog you were following, bar maybe Another Holiday who lost his chance into the opening corner, like you had a reason to sort of be somewhat hopeful through it.
Yeah, look, I think it was one of those races where we found out really the class, like the cream rises to the top, doesn't it? And she just charged that bench. She had the will to win. And that's what Dolores said in her interview afterwards. Like, that's the type of bitch that she is. She never gives up. I wasn't really, I was confident in Boylesports Coco. I napped her for the race. I never gave Another Holiday a chance because I don't think he's back to his best yet, even though he came out through the bars in the first round. But Optic Chico picked him up way too easy for my liking, and he just didn't run to his true potential throughout this Gold Cup, and he done very well to get to the final. There's just something amiss with him, I feel. A lot of other news. Yeah, I'd say even if he hit the front he still wouldn't have won. He doesn't have that class like Boylesports Coco or Ballymacfin, and that's nothing against the dog. I just think the only one for me that was going to win that race was Boylesports Coco, and she just had the class. She drove into that bend. Didn't matter that there was big dogs either side of her. A little bitch doing that like is tremendous to see, and I can't wait to see her in the breeding paddocks as well.
The market was right, Tommy. 7-4 favourite in the off. That was purely down to the draw. You'd imagine if she'd been on the other side of Ballymacfin, it may have been the other way around. But the fact of the matter was, Tommy, that going into the corner, a lot of other news. Sean Conway had one job, and that was to get a lot of other news into a position to maybe win the contest. He's banged there on the opening corner, and only that the bitch really did sort of in that last 20 yards into the corner, she got another sort of half length that she needed that allowed her drive the opening bend. I thought a lot of other news ran a blinder. He actually showed pace down the back straight. If you look at the third bend, he's nearly right on their heels, sort of in fourth on the inside. You know, listen, don't worry that he finished fifth. I thought Sean Conway, who is a young trainer, certainly worth keeping an eye on. He had 4 winners on Friday night over 3 different tracks. I thought he did everything he could with a lot of other news, and he can certainly hold his head up high.
Oh, big time. Like, you can't do any more than that. I mean, and you know what? Like, it wasn't. It was predictable that a lot of other news could break like that. There were 202s, I think, if we look into a section, I think there's something like there are a few low 2 second sectionals. But it's not that big a surprise. But It's a good training performance to do that, to get it on the big night. A big night like that, you can overdo it with greyhounds. You can lots of reasons why it might not happen. So I'd agree with you that Sean Conway did a great job with a lot of other news. Um, as I said a minute ago, it's just like a replay of that quarter final, second round effort by Boylesports Coco, where Hello Mom came out of the trap one, it flew out and actually came a little bit right. And Boylesports Coco had to take a step right, which she might do anyway, took a step right and accelerated. And that's what we've been saying about her. It's not that she flies from boxes, she doesn't, and she definitely didn't again the other night, but that acceleration into the bend is impressive. Now, I think I think she got enough. I think she got enough trouble probably to cost her maybe like 3 parts of length or a length, just trying to squeeze her way through at the bend. Even though it doesn't look terrible and she's not knocked sideways or anything like that, I thought she lost enough momentum trying to run that bend inside and tight where you want any greyhound to run it. She was trying her best to keep tight to the rails and do everything right. That's to me what made it a contest, because if she had got around the bend without that trouble, she had broken a lot of news had missed her, or she had broke a little bit better. She'd have got around clear and she would have won by a length and a half, and that would have been that. It would have been a trap to line job. It just showed her quality. I think we talked about her last year when she was kind of starting her career. We talked about her and talked her up as the bitch that could be an Oaks bitch this year. I think she's much more mature and much stronger now. And I know Deadly Style. You talked about Deadly Style being a bit surprised in the semi final. Deadly Style got up
Yeah,
to win.
I've had to completely reassess my view of him.
Well,
So I didn't know the dog, and I just saw the opening round
well,
thinking he's an early pacer, has to be on the bunny. I think he's a dog that'll get the 550 yards, no problem, comfortably. He's certainly a greyhound that's impressed me through the competition, and he's one I'll be keeping an eye on through the year.
oh no, what I'm saying is that I wasn't trying to throw in a sneaky digger on there.
Oh
Quite
no,
the
I know
opposite,
that.
actually. What I was saying about it, it's a dog that we didn't know much about for Shelbourne Park purposes, and actually his style actually what I would come away from the final saying his issue when he steps up into Derby class and definitely he's going to stay 550 is, will he match them to the bend, or will he be able to stay close enough, because he does stay very, very well. I suspect he can probably break a little bit better, but he's a wide dog who's going to give away a bit of ground all the time. But he made it into he kind of he kind of helped raise it for Boylesports Coco, the performance, the fact that he pushed her so hard all the way to the line. I think you kind of knew. I know where you commentate from is a bad angle, but you kind of knew the Boylesports Coco had held on, but you just didn't
If
want to
if
say didn't
if
want to
if
say it.
if it had been a Thursday or Friday night, guys, I would have said Boylesports Coco wins, but you
Yeah,
just don't want to get it wrong on that night. Do you know what I mean? And if they
yeah,
had been a yard wider apart, I'd have left it purely to the judge. But they were
yeah.
close enough that you could make a call. Now, as it was, it's a neck. I struggle to believe it was a neck from the angle. But yeah, just, you have to be careful with these things. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Lenz and Bocco's Derby success, where Boyle Sports King was coming hard. Obviously, Dolores Root second on that occasion. She wins on this occasion. But like every other night, you'd have called it Lenz and Bocco. But that night, you just had to put in the I believe or I think. And yeah, it's not. I'll make no apologies for that, because if you get it wrong, there's no way you can take it back. Sarah, Deadly Style ran a big race in defeat. Ballymac Finn, what a warrior he has been for Liam Dowling. Like under your umbrella when you were with Boyle Sports, he was runner up in the Derby in 2022 and went so close behind Born Warrior. He sort of went off the boil a bit last summer, but back to his best again. He just got that little squeeze in the early yards here on Saturday night, and it cost him valuable ground. But to show the pace he did, to get back involved and to look a real player at that third bend, in the end, he's that length and a half behind Boylesports Coco again. The form is really carrying through from the semi-finals and quarterfinals. But again, a dog that I'd imagine it's all systems go for the Easter Cup.
I hope so. I hope we see him in the Easter Cup, and another brilliant training performance by Liam Dowling to get this dog back to that level. He's been on the circuit quite some time now, and we're lucky enough that we get to enjoy him. So please God, we see him in the Easter Cup. Deadly Style was incredible. I was a bit like yourself, Ian. I didn't really know much about the dog. Really impressed me in the opening round and the opening few rounds, to be honest. Didn't expect him to come home like he did. So yeah, I definitely think we can get excited about him over the 550 and maybe even further. Who knows? And the first three home as well were Droopy Sydney. It's that dog again, Droopy Sydney.
I gotta tell you, that ain't a shock.
I'm telling you, it's unreal.
It completes the Sydney Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Wasn't not one heat, not one contest through the Gold Cup was won by anything other than a Droopy Sydney. I can safely say that has never happened in a Category 1 event, ever, anywhere, on any track in the world. That has never happened. It's simply remarkable.
Might see it happening now in the Easter Cup and different things coming up, who knows? But yeah, just as well on a lot of other news. I know I was talking to Sean Conway. We were actually reminiscing from our Harold's Cross days and when he worked for Jerry Mealy, and Sean's about 6 or 7 years younger than me, like, and watching him on RPG TV the other night, or Sporty TV as they call it now.
He's not that young.
He's not that young now. I'm showing my age now. But Jay, he's 45 dogs in training, like, and to get 4 winners across 3 tracks the other night, fair bloody play to him. And he's doing a lot of it on his own. I was chatting to him, like, and you know, it's a remarkable achievement. And for young trainers, it's just goes to show the future looks bright in terms of young trainers coming through. Obviously, it's an industry they want to get involved in, which is positive and good to see. But he had 10 owners in that syndicate, and they all came in with their partners and stuff on Saturday night. So look, it's great to see HQ so busy. But you could give a story for every dog in that final. They all deserved to be there. But Boylesports Coco was just, and Kim Bergen, oh God, she was absolutely ecstatic after the race. Like, she's such a lovely girl. She was so delighted for Dolores and the team. She kept saying to me in the video, we're back. You know, after Dolores having the break and stuff like that. So a lovely story, Ian, and a great night.
Yeah, it was a great night. Tommy, you mentioned Neon Knight. He was the 33-1 outsider. Again, Ian Riley could do no more with this fellow. Showed unbelievable early speed to be there, challenging. Obviously, he gets tapped down the back straight a little, but that's to be expected against the dogs he's taking on. But as I've said to you for the last few weeks, you know, is he AAO or is he AO or is he A1? He's currently AO. Like, he's going to pick up a handy AO very shortly, and he'll win by a comfortable enough margin. But again, I thought Ian Riley showed his quality with a dog. To get this fellow challenging for the lead into the opening corner is testament to the man.
And you know, the dog actually was a bit unlucky in the sense that the winner was brave in the centre. A lot of other youths were trying to hold his ground along the inside, and Neon Knight was actually the chief sufferer. Actually got a bit of a bump. That just knocked him off stride, and that was enough for the dogs to come around him. I think Ballymacfin went up his inside. I think Deadly Style went down around the outside, and that kind of finished his race. He actually ran a cracking race to stay on into 4th place. I thought he ran a hell of a race. Entitled to be a bit closer, not an unlucky loser by any means or anything like that, but very unlucky not to finish an awful lot closer. Again, I mean, like Sarah's right, they all ran well, apart from Nulla Holiday, it just didn't happen for him. But we were kind of half expecting that. I mean, we kind of thought that in the second round that he just wasn't. When he went off that bit.
Yeah, aside from the fact that he's been running flat, like, he did get badly squeezed about 10 yards, 15 yards before the corner. His goose was cooked at that stage. He's always been a dog, in fairness to him, that has run very well fresh and in the opening rounds of competitions and whatnot. And the fact that he won those 3 races at the back end of the year last year was, you know, signs that, you know, he's still amongst the very best in training. But you got to remember that there were little breaks between those 3 races. I don't think he's a dog that wants 5-6 runs in a row. Now, obviously, there's only 4 runs in a row, but listen, he's got a fortnight now before the opening round of the Easter Cup. Would it be any shock to either of us or any of us if he popped up in the opening round Easter Cup and did a 29.35 on the bunny and looks like a superstar again? I don't think so. Like Michael O'Donovan, you know, they don't come any better. You know, for what he achieved with Deadly Style, just beating the neck in second, I'd be forgiving Another Holiday back in last spot. Let's end with the winner, of course. We haven't really given her the dues. This was, I suppose I described in the report, it was a real display of determination, dexterity, sort of sheer ability, basically speed and even strength. I was really taken by her. Spoke to Dolores after racing. She was absolutely buoyant. We spoke for a few minutes. She said, I sort of suggested, you know, what's the plan? The Oaks, maybe with a few races in between. She said, yeah. She said, you know, Baron Swallow was, you know, basically out of a sister to Susie Sapphire's dam. I was like, yeah. She goes, Susie Sapphire won the Easter Cup. What do you think? I said, do you know what? It's definitely worth the crack. The 550 run up will certainly suit her. I wouldn't completely dismiss her claims. Like, it'll be hotter waters again, no question about it. But that longer run to the corner will certainly suit. She is certainly one for the breeding paddocks down the line, no question about it. But wherever she turns up, I think she's worth the mention, and she certainly has to be sort of seriously considered. Another thing, it was a big day for Dolores Ruth. Dazzle Rolex won the Golden Jacket at Crayford, £20,000 to the winner. He was bred by Dolores, reared by Dolores, ran his first 2 or 3 races in Ireland for Dolores. Didn't happen for him, but half the world were trying to buy him. They threw him straight into distance racing as a pup, and it just didn't quite happen for him, finding traffic, but had shown loads of pace and power. And it was only a matter of time before he took off in one of those 6 bend races. Well, it was over 8 bends that he made his mark on at Crayford on Saturday, winning for Ricky Holloway. Dolores informs me that she retains a share in the dog. So I said, will we see him back in Ireland? She said, probably not. But I said, well, what about Winter Racing Festival? She said, well, there's an option. So listen, it was a great day for Dolores. I think Robert started the interview with, Carlsberg don't do greyhound racing days, but if they did, and in fairness to her, I'd say she was smiling from start to finish, and with every reason. Boylesports Coco, a worthy winner of the Tote Gold Cup. Anything else to add, Sarah?
No, she was absolutely brilliant. Again, just delighted for John Boyle to see him win something big. Because he gets to a lot of these finals, doesn't win them. So yeah, fair play to him. And hopefully she will go to the Easter Cup. But as you say, it will be a lot hotter.
Yeah, funny enough, I mentioned the Golden Jacket. Dolores had won the Golden Jacket before with
Okay,
Boylesports Star
go away.
2017. So it just goes to show. But yeah, John's had some very, very fast greyhounds through the years. Of course, the brilliant Boylesports. So what was he called? The dog that won the Produce Stakes and
Oh,
Kirby
um,
Boylesports
oh
Hero.
God, yes,
Boylesports
hero.
Hero. Yeah, what a star he was. Got sadly injured in the opening round of the Derby, but no, it's been a while since John had a big, big winner, and it's important that the likes of John Boyle have winners, Tommy.
Of course it is, because he puts a lot into it, and obviously most so through sponsorship, which has been vitally important through a difficult time. He was there, he stood up and wasn't afraid to be associated with greyhound racing, which is what we should laud, to be quite honest about it. But
Absolutely.
from my point of view, if I had Boylesports Coco, I go. I think I'd go. I'd be focusing on the Oaks. Not to say that she couldn't win or go deep into an Easter Cup, but it will get deeper. What will increase, I think, will be the early pace in an Easter Cup.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and what I would think is, if she's able to do what she's been doing in the last few weeks to dogs in a Gold Cup, I think she's more than capable of holding her own against the bitches in the Oaks. And yes, it does look like she'd appreciate the longer run into the bend, but actually, I think she's fine in a 5-2-5. There will be bitches who can absolutely fly, and there'll be Susie Sapphire-esque bitches in an Oaks. But the way she goes into a bench, she's going to position herself well around the bend in every heat. That's where I'd be focused on personally. But
Yeah.
she's entitled to go for the
The only
Easter
thing I'll
Cup,
say about it
definitely.
is there is a long gap. Like Easter's earlier this year. The Easter
Yeah,
Cup
yeah,
finals on
yeah,
the
yeah,
6th of April.
yeah.
Like the Oaks deciders
I
not till the end of June. So like
Yeah.
there's plenty of time to recover. And who's to say she won't like, we're not guaranteeing she'll go through the Easter Cup. If we thought she'd go through the Easter Cup all the way to the final, it'd definitely be a no-brainer. You'd throw her into it. You know what I mean? But like she may get knocked out in one of the early rounds, and then all of a sudden you can focus. Maybe the Oaks, I said to her about maybe take her on the road for the likes of the Limerick Oaks and other bitch competitions like that. She's no. She said Shelbourne Park is her track, and it's hard to disagree. It's hard to disagree. Sometimes it can take them a
Well,
bit of time to find their feet again if they go out of Shelbourne and come back to it. And listen, she's already after winning a big prize. They have nothing more to gain with her in terms of bringing her around the country. Why not stick for the bigger prizes in Shelbourne Park and keep her relatively lightly raced? Easter Cup, Oaks, and then take a look at it, because as we said, she's worth an absolute fortune in the breeding paddocks. So no, not that John Boyle needs the money or anything like it, but you know what I mean. Let's take
well,
a look at. Go ahead.
sorry, but it's just very easy. It's just very easy to underplay what it means to win a Tote Gold Cup.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, yeah,
If you go back down through the years, I mean this is huge. The prestige of this. I don't think you need to go traveling with a bitch like that. You don't think you need to do anything with it apart from, after this, it's all bonus territory. That's absolutely huge. That's a Tote Gold Cup that the bitches after winning.
yeah. It was also bonus territory when you threw Susie Sapphire into the Derby. Do you know what I mean? So we know how that worked out. Let's talk about the undercard, because I thought there were some very noteworthy displays. Ballymac Walt returned to good form, took off early, went on to land the spoils. He was classier than his rivals on the night. Showed good early speed, 5-4, winning in 28:45 on a track that certainly wasn't flying. Tommy, it's good to see him back to something like his best.
Of course it is. Yeah, that's another one. I was find it kind of tricky enough at the track in terms of what it was or wasn't doing. Speed wise, now there were a few A1s on the card and the like, but there were big performances from the likes of Carrickino, who you're a big fan of,
We're
and
getting there.
obviously Right Hope,
We're getting there.
Beach.
And we're definitely
Right Hope
getting
Beach,
there too.
who I'm not sure if you aren't a fan of.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. But listen, by being a fan, I'm allowed to be more frustrated by him than most. Let's move on. Aniana Faya. It only dawned on me the other night she's Faya rather than Faya because she's on fire. But she was a good winner from the front. I just want to mention Ballymac Danica in third. She's hugely fast. She got all sorts of traffic problems to finish a close third. I think we'll see much, much better from her. Obviously, she looks so exciting in the Rural Kennels Unrace down at Clonmel. Tommy's already mentioned him, Sarah. Ryhope Beach was a joy to watch in full stride down the back straight. I said in commentary, he's a monster. I stand by it.
Yeah, I love this dog. I actually tipped Jetstream Breeze in this. I thought he ran below his best, to be honest with you. But yeah, Ryhope Beach, didn't he win the opening heat of the Derby last year? I think Michael O'Donovan had a double or a treble or something won on the opening round of the Derby, and he was one of them, along with another Holiday and one of his other dogs. And I have been a big fan of the dog. He's just been unlucky, I think, and just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I've always had my eye on him. But yet I could never tip him to win anything because I was never that fully confident that he was there with his consistency. But on Saturday night, he was epic and good value. Looking back now, you're going even money, like bloody hell. He was good value on the night. Didn't expect him to run that well. 32.19 is a fantastic time. And another bloody droopy Sydney, eh? They're popping up everywhere.
He can run.
Yeah.
Tommy, the problem with Ryhope Beach is been clear. Like even the other night, he should have been closer on the corner, and he takes 2 or 3 strides for himself. Like it's in his head.
That's
it's mental.
exactly what he did.
It's that traffic. It's that traffic he encountered in his third ever start down at Tralee. It's always been there. He minds himself in that opening corner, but when he did start to move through the gears off the second bend, I'm not sure there's a dog in training could have lived with him.
Actually, it looked kind of effortless. You'd half wonder looking at him, was he really in full stride or not? It looked so effortless the way he went past Scotty Scheffler, and the way he drew
Like
5.5.
Scotty Scheffler is 28.32 in his card.
Yeah,
and like Ryhope Beach ragged him.
Yeah, I look. I watched it a few times, and it doesn't even look like he changed his pace. It's just like he gets into top gear and that's it, and just maintains it all the way. To go 5.5 lengths clear after taking the lead around a bend for a dog who's staying wide, avoiding other dogs. Like you're definitely, like you phrase it quite nicely, quite diplomatically. He took a few strides for himself around the first bend. It's exactly what what he did.
That's what it is. Like
Exactly
instead of taking 10 strides, he takes 12 or 13, and he's just taking those little steps to. Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of a long jumper who's trying to correct his stride to get the launch.
He definitely stepped off a little bit right just to avoid a bump at the bend, and I say it's amazing too that they can remember. Like he obviously got an awful tumble that time back in the Juvenile Classic last year. What Juvenile Classic it was. Yeah, like he's a fabulously fast dog, and actually when he's like that, he's a joy to watch. All right.
Yeah, he they may well enter him the Easter Cup, but I'd imagine it's all systems go for the Shelbourne 600. You know, that's his event, no question about it. The aforementioned Carrickino, Sarah, comes with a big reputation. I'm a huge fan. He did 28.34 the other night, as we said, track not particularly flying. It was the fastest run of the night, and yet I think there's lengths to come from him. I thought it was very, very straightforward from the other night, and I don't think we saw the best of him. I think this dog, come summertime, could be clear favourite for the Derby.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm a massive fan. I was talking to Robert Gleeson a few weeks ago and again on Saturday night, and I was like, I love your dog. I was like, there's something special about him, especially that night he done 28.30, I think, down in Clonmel. He was exceptional. Just the pace that he showed. He led from the second bend, and it was just no catching him. He drove on to win by 4 or 5 lengths on the night, I think, and it was just like a wow factor. A bit like some of the dogs that are running down in Tralee at the moment. There's something about them that just catches your eye and you fall in love with them. And this is a dog I've fallen in love with. And I think on Saturday night as well, like he was 8-15 or something to win his heat or his race, but 28.34, he's got to come on leaps and bounds from that. He hadn't ran since he ran down in Clonmel, done a trial in Shelbourne, and then came out and won, ticking all the boxes. And you could be right come Derby time. Yeah, he could be favoured. He'll go for the Easter Cup, I'd imagine, would he? Or is he still a little bit too inexperienced for that?
Oh, I would imagine he's Limerick bound.
Oh yeah,
He's
of course. Jeez, I forgot about that. Yeah,
He's
yeah,
June
sorry.
22. Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
imagine he's Limerick bound, unless unless Robert really has targets in mind. But
yeah.
no, I like it's
It's
eighty
nice to
thousand
have
euro.
options,
I think
isn't it, I
I
suppose?
think the Kirby makes sense. Tommy,
Yeah.
it like there was nothing about it the night. Look, crash bang wallop. There was nothing about it. Go, wow, that's unbelievable. But it was pretty effortless. It's obvious he's immensely strong as well as fast. From the second bend to home, like he takes 5.5 lengths out of Drewby's Crisp, who at one point was a very talented tracker in the UK. It just looked very easy for him. But do you get the sense, like me, that there's much better to come?
Oh, I think so. Like he wasn't perfect out of boxes, but he did run an exceptionally good line. Now he'd had a couple of trials in Shelbourne Park, and I think they were 28-40 something runs. I was like you, I was impressed by the way he drew away from Drewby's Crisp. To my mind, well, you've got 80,000 for the Kirby. He's definitely going there anyway.
Yeah, no question, no question. I'd
Probably
So
much
imagine.
over the Derby.
very wide into the straight, but you know what? When he straightened up, he absolutely flew.
And it's funny because he looked an absolute, and he is a railer. There's no question about it. Like he looked a
The
dead
first two
railer.
bends were brilliant.
He looked a dead railer in Clonmel, like to a point where it nearly cost him one or two nights, and then the final he got a bad draw. But the pace he showed in the final was unbelievable. And when this fellow was fully wound up around Shelbourne Park later in the year, God, we're going to have to try and go and catch him. I'll tell you that.
You know,
Again, great to see him in the Kirby, and if he gets trapped one in a round or two, I've no doubt he'll go very, very fast around there.
Well, we talked about it in the last few weeks, maybe not last week, maybe the week before, just about Robert Leeson and the way he takes a slowly approach with if a dog like Carrickino is doing what he's doing already, I'd be like you, I'd have fair hope from that he'd be. Well, I'm not saying he'd definitely be favoured for the Derby, but because I'd say we've got a wealth of talent in the country at the moment, so but he'll definitely be vying for it.
Yeah, we have to mention the Juvenile Classic. We would normally be talking about it this morning, but they were hit by a freak storm on Friday night. I believe it was biblical. There was hail coming down. There was thunder, lightning, wind. It was like the gods were taking it out on Tralee on Friday night. But we have to look forward to it. As you're watching this, you're probably having tuned in to watch the Juvenile Classic action. It's a shame we can't talk about it, but we'll talk about the two rounds. Next week, perhaps. It looks like, as Tommy said, a wealth of talent in the country. There's certainly a wealth of talent down in the Juvenile Classic. Just the last two races at Shelbourne Park this Saturday night, I want to give them a mention. Pints Not Pilates, what a sprightly veteran this fellow is. He's well into his fourth year for Martin Lanny, the Pints Not Pilates Syndicate, which is formed by Ian Marmion. Great to see them getting a real twist out of this dog. He's running as well as ever. And the last race on the card went to Lord Messi. He led early, was headed, and came back again. I was informed after racing that Tommy Woods, who owns and trains Lord Messi, that was his 200th winner. And I think that deserves a mention. Fair play to you, Tommy. He's been travelling up to Shelbourne Park for quite some time now. He races many of his dogs around Enniscorthy. When he has a good enough one, he brings them to Shelbourne Park and he wins a share. He wins his share. And I'll tell you one thing, he can get a dog to a corner. And that's always a good sign. Always a good sign. So great to see Tommy winning his, for the 200th time. I think that's a great milestone. Has to be mentioned. Let's get on. The Droopy Stud Champion Bitch Stake was at Thurles on Saturday night. Sarah, you're a big fan of Sing Along Dolly. I think plenty of us are. She caught the eye in the semi-finals, running on behind two very strong runners. The other night, she didn't lead early. She took off down the back straight, takes charge around the halfway mark. She runs out a ready one-length winner from the two big finishers, Born of Flame and Fashion Model. I think this lady, we saw what she's capable of, winning the Puppy Oaks at the back end of last year for Pat Buckley. I'd say they have fair targets in mind with this lady. You'd imagine come Oaks time, she'll be, ready to go.
Yeah, please God, she ran terrific. I've seen her in the flesh a good few times actually, because I've seen her obviously Puppy Derby, but I've seen her down in Galway. She got to the final of that stake that Troopy's Mandolin won. So yeah, on Thurles, like I actually didn't think she'd win in, and I think that reflects in the price as well. Obviously, Bobsleigh Dream was the favourite, but I watched the race. My God, she ran an unbelievable, like the pace that she showed, the ground that she made up. And she was pulling away from them. Now she won kind of comfortably. Born of Flame did run a huge race now in second, I have to say as well. But fair play to Pat Buckley. And I love this little bitch. I think Pat Buckley's kennels are just unbelievable this year. I think he's going to win a lot. I really do. But Sing Along Dolly, she's a little cracker. Another one that like I mentioned, Curraheen, when you fall in love with these, I fell in love with Sing Along Dolly when I seen her in Shelbourne Park. So it was 3,150 to the win as well. A lovely little competition. And they did great coverage, to mention as well, Ian Thurles. They did a great job across social media and stuff like that. They had a big night down there with GA clubs and stuff like that coming. So fair play to them. Great to see the benefit nights and to back that up with such a good card on the night as well, with great prize money across the board. So well done to everyone down in Thurles.
Yeah, Tommy Bobsleigh Dream was the 6-4 favourite. Just didn't happen for her through this competition. She is getting a little bit on, but you know, again, I know she has won around Thurles in the past, but you know, it's probably not her track per se. She won the Tipperary Cup back in 2022, believe it or not. Like, and here we are in 2024, and she's in the final of the Champion Bitch Stake down there. She is a February 20. She has gone 4 years of age, so perhaps we have seen the best of Bobsleigh Dream. But I'm not saying she's an able replacement or anything like it, Sing Along Dolly, but that's 2 decent prizes she after winning, and the pace she showed down the back straight would suggest that, you know, she's more than capable of competing in top company. And what I liked about it was racy. When the gap opened up, she went through it very quickly. She took charge into the third bend and ran out a comfortable winner. She's a nice type.
Oh, she's a real nice type because like you, I think from halfway to third bend, it's not just about pace, it's about determination, it's about absolutely wanting to get to the front. She drove on through there. Now there was a big gap. It's not like she had to squeeze away through and that, but like she was hunting it. She really was chasing that hair. I mean, to go through the way she did was deeply impressive. And it's not, you know, Born Flame was coming at her a bit late and was beating the length. I actually think it's a fair performance to hold Born Flame to a length. I know Born Flame's not a bitch that's had a lot of running at the very top level. She's only
Immensely
had 4 wins.
though. Immensely strong.
She only had 4 wins, but you know what? She deserves a lot more. She her lack of early pace is the issue. She's got terrific overall ability, Born Flame. You'd like to see her win a few or pick up a few more races because of that ability. But actually, I think Sing Along Sally to 25 yards out to say this is going to be tight. And to hold her to a length to the line, I think it's a fair performance now. I think she's a bitch that she obviously had to get her trapping better. She tracked well the first 2 bends, but there was a little bit of trouble. 2 bitches kind of moved off a little bit and left her a gap to get into third place at the bend. But definitely from halfway or even a little bit before halfway down to the third bend, that was deeply impressive.
Yeah, she did a 2:03 in the final of the Puppy Oaks at Shelbourne Park last year. So if there's a 2:03 in her makeup, she's capable of doing it. Now, it is worth pointing out in all her subsequent starts, she has yet to lead on the opening corner. And that perhaps will be her problem going forward. But if she can find a bit more consistency in the boxes, there's no question she can compete at the highest level. Tommy, Cork on Saturday night, the 2 semi-finals of the Cork Cup. We saw 1 or 2 of the bigger names crashing out, the likes of Romeo Steele, who'd been so impressive in the early rounds for us, went out. He just faded out of contention.
He ran a cracking race.
Yeah, Miller's Nadi, huh?
He ran a great race, Romeo Steele. he ran much better than finishing last. As I know he faded late, and I hope he's all right. But actually missed it completely. Showed a lot of pace everywhere he tried to go down the back. He was just stopped in his run. I actually think, you know, for a dog that I think is a pure early pacer, and maybe I'm wrong about him, but
off a slow start, he showed brilliant early speed.
Yeah,
turned in the third spot. Yeah.
Ran way better than it might look. But the winner has great early pace too, and you know that's key to win it. I mean, to be 2.5 lengths up at the line the first time around shows electric early pace. It's not the runner up actually ran a super race to actually into the first bend and to get around Faye Point Morley. She ran a cracking race to defeat. But Bambi Lady is I don't know what the section was. I'm just looking it up here. 3:26, 3:23 last week. It was a little bit slower than last week, which is hard to believe. She's electric out of the boxes. That's a fair run.
Yeah, she's modelling consistency, that lady. She's won quite a few recently. And the second heat, Tommy, what we have you, Fate Point Susie, of course, this time last year, she was a bit of a star in the UK. She's back in Ireland now. And she's running okay. She probably hasn't yet produced her very best English form, but you know she's going to be in the final of this competition with a big claim. Wins in 28.87, Fastaway always led.
Yeah, I think like you, I think she's probably capable of better, or there's probably a bit more in her. She's not that old. She's only turning 3 in next month. Yeah, she look at her 3:36 section, which she led off the other night. Is like leaves her 10 or 12 spots behind Bambi Lady. You know, in the early stages, might be hard enough to kind of pick that off unless she just sharpens up a little bit. But as we know, there is a little bit more left in her.
Yeah, and the final race was just noteworthy that Boccos Crystal is back, last year's Derby runner-up, winning in 28.52, leading off the front, 3:33 from Trap 1. She was a 4-5 favourite. That 4-5 would have looked fairly generous when she led on the opening corner. But good to see her back. She is an August 20, so she is 3.5 years of age, but clearly capable of have another good year.
Yeah, look at whatever she gets out this year is a real bonus at 3.5. I mean, by the time we get around to Derby, it'll be gone by her, or probably nicely gone by her.
Yeah,
Let's be honest
you'd
about it.
imagine so.
Dells
Yeah.
or Bells ran a cracking race, but 28.52. I mean, Bacchus Crystal will do that in her sleep, still at 3.5 years of age.
Who's to say by the time the Derby comes around, she mightn't be a mum? You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
the way the
yeah.
game goes if she comes in season. Now, Sarah, your car is going to be literally driving itself to Limerick over the next couple of months, I would imagine. With the Kirby coming up, you'll be sick of that road, I'd say, but by the time the final of the Kirby comes around. But it was a big night at Limerick on Saturday night. Obviously it was a great night in terms of great racing and whatnot. But it's going to be worthwhile keeping an eye on the action at Limerick over the coming weeks and months, because for the next few weeks they'll be running little sweepstakes. There was a trial stick obviously for the Kirby. Lots to look forward to.
Yeah, there is lots to look forward to. This will be my first, obviously, Kirby working. And I've never even been to any of the heats or the final down through the years. I've always missed it with different work commitments and stuff. So I'm buzzing for it. I can't wait, because looking at what the guys do across social media and stuff and getting involved with the GAA clubs, there's tremendous coverage of the Conor Kirby. And obviously it attracts a huge entry list, and because of the prize money and we have great sponsorship, etc., etc. I don't need to go into it because we all know how brilliant it is. So I'm buzzing for it. I'm actually in Limerick tomorrow as well. And I have a mental week this week. I'm on the road a lot because there's a big student night in Tralee on Thursday. Then the semi-finals of the juvenile on Friday. And then I think I have a fundraiser in Waterford on Saturday. Then I've the Sarwich to look forward to. I have the Midlands Derby final, of the Cork Cup final. There's a lot happening around the country, and it was such a quiet January and really kind of February as well. Now it's all systems go, so there's a lot for people to look forward to across the country. Around all the tracks there's something going on, and fundraisers and benefit nights and big competitions. But yeah, 100% buzzing. And the fact that the Easter Cup's only starting like in 2 weeks' time as well, so we're going to be busy, Ian.
Yeah, you certainly are. All I got from that conversation, Tommy, was I wouldn't mind Sarah's expenses bill. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm driving around in my
Envelope
Lamborghini,
one of
you know what I
six.
mean?
What you want to do now is get yourself a bigger car. Bigger the engine, the more the expenses. You know that.
Oh, you've been here before, huh?
I'm afraid not. Just to mention the racing at Limerick on Saturday night, Tommy, there were a good few 2022 winners. It is worth pointing out. These are dogs that will be able to go into the Kirby. Gully 901 and 2891, the opening semi-final of an unraced stake. The second heat was won by Too Easy, owned by the Far Out Syndicate. A September 22. Maybe Kirby might even come a bit too soon. Other than that, we had Adlaka Arteta. That's a February 22 winning in 28.59. Obviously, then we had a couple of the more established runners like Balnakill Alf. Good to see him back to winning ways. His first run of the year for the Pillar Syndicate, and Graham Holland winning in 18.43 around Limerick. He has a race there before. I think he's been beaten in both his runs at Limerick before, so it was good to get one on the board at Limerick. Second was Seven Beach. I think he's a dog who will be more of a force over four bends this year. We saw him winning at the Winter Racing Festival. Burgess Jack was back in third. Toolmaker Bud was obviously a finalist down at Clonmel. He won in 28.93. Much better to come from him, of course. Another one of the Robert Gleeson trained runners. Superfast Gordon, I'd say Pat Buckley is kicking himself. His date of birth, Tommy, is the 15th of December 2021. You're thinking to yourself, could you not have delayed it? Or the storms and no, they're just big pups. They were born on the 1st of January. 28.09. He absolutely took off. He looked a really good dog in the Kingdom Derby. Has since come to Shelbourne Park, and he won a race there in 28.36, beating up to Chico last week. It was a mighty impressive display. He's a dog with a big year ahead of him, I have no doubt. Hookham and Prest over over 6 bends, 41.65. I think that's his gig this year, is the 6 bends, the 750-yard trip rather than the 850. We saw at the Winter Racing Festival that extra 100 yards makes a difference. And then a couple of good performances from Anna Bailey. Velvet Duchess, 28.18, winning an A2 competition. You're a bit unlucky you run into her. She wins by 10 lengths. What surprises me is she's returned 2-1. If I think I've won capable of doing 28.18, winning 10 lengths, I wouldn't be leaving the 2-1 on the board. And the last race won by Pepe Noir in 32.67. A wonderful night's racing at Limerick. A few that will be able to go for the Kirby, but again, super fast Gordon. Those 2 weeks make a big difference, Tommy.
You're not suggesting that sort of stuff goes on for people
I'm not
falsify the birth
suggesting.
certificate.
For all I know, he's a September whelp. No. It's just one of those things. He's just born just that little bit too early. Bit like yourself, Sarah.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's the first compliment you've given me in years.
I don't think
usually
that's
get
the
abuse.
case. But again, it's great to see good racing down at Limerick, Sarah. It's going to be the case for the next 2 months.
Yeah, it really is. All eyes will be on Limerick. I love that super fast Gordon, by the way. Like, isn't it impressive, really, when you look at it for young dogs like that, right? You've come from Tralee to Shelbourne Park to Limerick. You're winning. Like, that's not easy to do, traveling around. Like, as my dad always said, have dog will travel. When you have a dog good enough, you can travel to the different tracks, but it's not that easy to bloody win on them and then go to somewhere different. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot from him this year. I really love the dog. I seen him in the flesh down the Eric Brown Memorial Kingdom Derby final. I was down there, and he's a fabulous looking dog. And look, Buckley's always send their dogs out looking real well. I was delighted to see Hookham win as well. He's kind of always, or is it a she? No, it's a he, isn't it?
He, yeah.
Ran a cracker over the 750 as well. And the other one on that card that I liked because I watched the race was Balnakill Alpha, as you mentioned, and that Pillar Syndicate as well. Like, I'd like to see them win something this year. They put an awful lot of money into the sport. They're buying pups as well. Like, and look, I just thought he ran a cracker. 1843 is a good run down there.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Obviously, he has some massive 4-bend runs, and they could switch him for the likes of a Laurels or something like that, Tommy. But I would suggest they'll probably keep him to sprinting for a while.
Yeah, look, I suppose it depends on how the sprinting goes for them. What they might do. I don't get worried about the Pillar Syndicate in terms of winners. They get loads of winners, fair play to them. They invest quite sharply, let me say.
They have an ear to the ground. They know the right people.
They're clever.
They're not afraid to pull the trigger, Sarah. Like we've heard that. You hear Noel and Jack and Larry and David talking about the dogs that they've bought and dogs they've let go, because more importantly, that if they'd feel that the dog isn't right for them, they will sell. And they do get reasonably good money for their dogs. It's not like Man United, you're paying massive money for players and you can't sell them on. Like they can sell on their dogs, because some of the dogs they're selling on are 28, 40 or 50 dogs, but there's just not quite what the Pillar Syndicate want. And that's important. You got to keep the flow,
It's a good position for them to be in, that they can sell dogs like that, of that caliber. Speaking of dogs that were sold, actually, I don't know if you know, because I didn't see it, but Epic Bella has been sold to Mr. Gerwin Price, former world darts champion. So she's going to be running, I forget now, there's a competition over in Toaster, I think. Is there a puppy thing coming up over there? Or somewhere else? But anyway, she's going to be running in England. So keep an eye on her, Epic Bella. I'm sure the name will change as well, but when I get more information, I'll let you know.
Yeah, we have a few sold across the water in recent times. Carefree Comet was sold out of Clonmel. The bitch that won the Dublin Cup, Hello Rose, am I going to say?
Yeah.
She was also sold, but she's actually staying in Ireland. She's gone to Graham Holland, and be interesting to see how she develops there. Superfast Gordon getting back to it. He's out of an Oaks winner. It's good to see Oaks winners throwing good dogs. JT Jordan was a tremendous Oaks winner, of course, for Paul Hennessy. Had been obviously with Anthony Rooney. Went to Paul Hennessy, and good to see her throwing some nice ones. Lots to look forward to in the coming weeks, Sarah. As you said, you're going to be on the road an awful lot, but listen, at least you're going to see good dogs.
Yeah. I mean, how bad, eh? Like, I don't mind having to go to these tracks and seeing the different greyhounds and the different facilities. And like that, say, like, the student nights and fundraiser nights, they're important too, Ian, because they're obviously driving business into the tracks, and we get to showcase what a track can offer. And that's an important message to put out to people, because like, you've got your GAA clubs, you've any sort of club, it doesn't matter. You've got children's schools, you have like all these types of benefit nights. They're using our facilities, Waterford FC, the Camogie girls that won the All Ireland, they're coming to our tracks to raise, money for whatever that they need for their teams and for schools, charities, cancer research. It's remarkable, and it's something that we can be very proud of. As much as we have an excellent greyhound facilities for our dogs and our breeding lines, we can be very proud of that, but we can also be proud of the fact that we're showcasing our sport across the globe, and what we can do, what we can offer, and raising money. Before we go in as well, I just wanted to touch on that competition that's in Shelbourne Park. It's a brilliant, the No Back Raiders won the Book Your Fishing on Swim Booker A2525. It's a weird name of a race, but I just wanted to mention, I was very, very impressed by Valderrama from Martin Lanny, whose dogs are running out of their skin at the moment. He ran a cracker, and he will come on from that run as well. Keep an eye on him.
He showed terrific early speed after
Really
a poor start. Took a bump on the corner, went on to win. I also like the dog in second, Ballymac Slick. Liam's not bringing him up for the good of his health. He found himself a long, long way back. He's only beaten 2.5 lengths. Yeah, that's a decent little competition. The opening heat was won by You and Me, Babe, who was last in the early yards. Wins for Paul Hennessy and Paul Hines. Do you remember Paul Hines and Paul Hennessy? That's a winning combination. Ringtown Snowy and a few others like that. Paul loves a strong running greyhound. Well, he certainly has one in You and Me, Babe. Maybe some weekend Tommy doesn't call that. That's what we'll end up calling Mondays. Talking dogs on a Monday. You and Me, Babe. Anyway, that's it.
Once you don't call me that my nickname, Babe. I think I prefer Cheshire Cat.
No problem. Sleep Gullion was the other heat winner. He's a dog with loads of early speed. He's a bit of a short runner, but he held on to win by half length the other evening. Lots of good competitions come on. Tommy, it's an exciting time of year with the Juvenile Classic. Obviously the unraced stake down at Clonmel over, and the Brownstown Tango and Newbridge Track Supporters unraced stake is starting at Newbridge on Friday night. Won by some real stars over recent years. But when you look at the bitches that have come out of it, I've mentioned them before. Obviously, Susie Sapphire ran in the opening round, didn't go any further than the opening round. Unlock, Droopy's Curio. A certain Boylesports Coco ran in it last year. Slick Sakina went on to be a superstar in the UK. It's a competition well worth tuning in for. I've been speaking to a couple of people who already believe they have a couple of flying machines going there.
Oh, look, we don't even have to wait an hour from when this goes out to see the next quality with the likes of the runners in tonight's Juvenile Classic in Tralee. So I think it doesn't even stop. It doesn't even stop for a day. But I'm telling you, like, I know we talked about it. We mentioned the dog earlier on. You were saying that you could see him, Carrie Keno, being the favourite for the Derby. The depth of talent is unbelievable. It really is, and that's going to be highlighted over the next. I
didn't say he couldn't be co-favourites with about 6 others.
yeah. That's
different.
No, you're right.
Damien Lanigan's cutting him as we speak. 16-1 from 33.
I'll tell you what, he's very good with that knife. He's very good for cutting them at times. But in fairness, they do tend to push them out then after a while if nothing's happening. But no, listen, lots to get excited about. Again, enjoy the juvenile action this evening. You've probably seen it already by the time you're watching this, and hopefully next week we'll get to cover all bases. My thanks on this Monday to the Cheshire Cat, Sarah Kinsella, and to the Exile Dub, Tommy Lyons. I don't know, we'll have to come up with a nickname for me, maybe the handsome one, maybe the full of rubbish one. But that's it.
Leave it to us. Leave it to us, Ian.
The Waffler.
Yeah, super.
That's it, folks, for Talking Dogs on this Monday evening. We'll see you next time. Anyone with a runner over the coming weeks, best of luck. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. Good evening, good luck, God bless.